Masechta Bava basra. I showed him. Masechta Bava basra. Daf Ayin Vav Amid Beis. We're starting Ayin Zayin. Today's Daf Ayin Zayin. So Amar Papa is like 8 lines from the bottom. Amar Papa. Papa gesagt. Papa said, "Hi man, the mazman leishtar lechavrei. One who sells a star chayv to his friend, tzarich. In addition to giving him over the star, he also has to lemichtavle. He has to write, kinei hu v'chol shibudei delei. Be koine the star chayv with all the liens that are within this star. That means he's not just giving him a piece of paper, which is one. That's what the Messina helps. But the Ksiva helps that the content of the star he should be acquiring. He should be acquiring the shibud that comes with the star. So the Gemara, I said this psak of Rav Papa, Kamed Rav Kana before Rav Kana. And he told me, Rav Kana answered, according to Rav Papa, time of the Kasalei Hachi, the whole reason that he's going to be kaina the liens that the content of the star is because he wrote him a star that he should be kaina the star, a separate star that this star should be kaina. But if he wouldn't have written in addition to giving him over the star a separate star that he's being marked in the star to him, loy kani, he would not be kaina. Does he need it to stuff a bottle, this piece of paper? If he's not being kaina the content of the star, how could we say that? So the Rashbam says even more so. He paid for it. Well, according to the money that he gave more than just the worth of a piece of paper. He obviously paid to be kaina to be able to collect with that star money.
So what does he needs another star?
So how could you say he needs a separate star, another star that he's being marked for him a star aside from just giving over the original star?
The original star has to give him another star.
Star, correct.
So what is he asking? What does he have to?
He says, how could you say that he needs the writing for it? What? He paid for it, and he gave him over the star. So by giving him over the star, he paid for it. Look at the money he paid. He paid for a piece of paper to stuff a bottle? Obviously not.
He paid for the
paid for the contents of the star, for the taking of the star. He paid money. That's what it says here. The Rashbam brings. Ve'im ha'mechir shenikva avur ha'shtar gavoy ba'habim mishavi ha'nahar.
He has a shayver.
Huh?
Has a receipt.
He doesn't talk about the receipt over here. So we have to, that's why he needs the star, a separate star. Yeah. So, but he wants to say, but it's obvious from the money and just doing a Mesirim Yad L'Yad. We learned yesterday that a Mesirim Yad L'Yad has a star. Is more strong than just telling somebody by the ship or by a horse, hold on to the saddle. And not without giving it over. That's called Mesida also. Here we're talking about it was Miyad HaMoichet to the Yad HaKoina. So that's a much stronger Mesida. So that Mesida should help even for the contents of the star. Especially when we see there was money, that's what he meant. Because he paid money for it. Okay, Zog the Yimon Amema answered. So 1 minute. So the Yimon said, what, he needs it to stuff a bottle? So Lee, so I've kind of said, lots of it. Yeah, he needed to stuff the bottle. He paid for it. So you see, he didn't mean just to stuff a bottle. So he says he did. And the Gemara will explain later on. He overpaid, and it's going to be considered as a mekach tos, and he can back out of the whole mekach. But we're not going to say that, huh? Yeah, we're not going to say, we're not going to hear, he brings that. He says, befeidish, yes. That and the whole Indian, you're going to ask me, he paid money for it. So we're going to say he can back out of this. Here, he brings down from the Ashbam. The Alzebo Tanas Sharabash Chilatsu Apitzlu Zil Sarah Kalem Peters them Yutu. So Bavada Shum is coming like Muslims Gamas Achevashi, the Lloyd Akas Mayor, then came after him 70 Chacham Shetar Gam Sim Mikomak, and I make Sarula Fash, Vishta Mershu make Gamas Shemishta. Okay, that's what he brought down before. So he says, he doesn't bring it down here. It's later. The Gemara is going to say. He's saying Beferish was lots al pitzuchusei. It was there to stuff the bottle. He overpaid. He paid so much. He obviously paid for the contents of the star. So we're saying no. We're saying that he overcharged him. He overcharged him, and it was a mekach tois, and he get back out of it. Or the Gemara will say later on, He
what
paid
is
so
he-
much
what
money,
what he say?
and the extra money, obviously, he knew he's paying so much money. He
He
obviously
said
was
he had
giving
to
the
write
rest
a
of the money as a
second
matana. The Gemara will say
Why
that
does he
later
have
on.
to write a second star then?
There was no Adam and there's no
So that's why, in order to be kind of the contents of the star, there had to be another star. If not, we're going to say that he overcharged and he can back out of the thing, back out of the
Oh,
sale.
the whole kind of was that he bought he paid for it, so he said that he made a mistake, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, if you write another star,
That will
That shows
that will
that-
cement that there was a sale to sell the contents of the star. Meima had gesagt,
Adam on the second star.
huh?
You need Adam on
Yeah,
the second
sure.
star.
The stars with Adam.
You
Yeah.
had no Adam on the first star.
On the first star, there was Adam. He
Bava
gave him
star.
over the star. Oh, you mean no? Because
why
the
he
star
was
had
the star.
Adam, but not that he was the Malva. Not that it was given over to him. Meima had gesagt, Hilsa Oisius. Oisius means the contents of the star. Niknes memsida kirebi is acquired just by giving the mecha, giving it over to the koina. He's automatically koina the contents of the star with all its liens. Avashi said to Ameima Gemara, Oisvara. Is it something that you makabel from your ebbes, or is it a svara? Amalei, Ameima says Gemara. It's a kabbalah that we got it from our fathers. Avashi, so Avashi says svara namihu. It's also svara. Why? Because the oisi is million in oisi of a star is just words, and the words alone is not mamoshis. The only way that a star helps, if you're going to use the star to be kinda a davar sheyesh by mamoshes, something that's money,
you have the Ada signing on
something
the
that is money. Davar shagufei mamein. That's what you need a star for, to be kinda that davar shagufei mamein. But if you're gonna say that the star, you're writing a star for another star, it's milim for milim. He says that doesn't work. Al pisvaria, the
So what are you
milim is
supposed
not
to
kinda
do?
with milim.
So what are you supposed to do to
You need a different kinyan. You need a different kinyan.
Just the Sira of the star is not
Messina is
enough.
not good enough.
The
No,
whole thing wasn't good from the beginning.
you have to do it. You have to do it differently. I'm going to
So
find
if
a
you want
way.
to sell a star, you have to make sure there's another Kenyan.
There has to be another kinyan.
What kind of
Messina,
Kenyan?
Messina is not good enough. There's eight, but the Hagbah we said is one. Hagbah,
That he picks up
but
the star?
that it picks up the star. But I don't know if it works by a star. It usually works by behemoths. I'm not sure. Kinyan Agav will work. Agav Karka.
But if I
Metal-
want to sell you a star that
Metal-
says you can collect $100,000, so how does he claim that that's kind of a star?
Bekesef, with money.
Yeah.
And he gave him over money to acquire the star. That, yeah.
The receipt.
And he gets a receipt that he gave him the money.
Receipt.
But the money was the Kenyan. He paid for it.
We had a whole discussion here before about writing another
Yeah, but
star.
here it's in front of Adam. He gave money. That was the Kenyan. In fact, you might have a lie. You're going to say Milim is not kind of Milim. Well, but you're saying a star cannot be kind of another star. Well, Rabbi Baravitzak said in the name of Rav, he brings down Shnei studies. There are two studies, and in each case, the halacha will be different. The first case, he says the moicha has a piece of karka, and he tells Reuben is the moicha. He tells Shimon, I want you to acquire this field. You should be makne to Levi. How? You'll give me a suda. In exchange, this karka will go through you, Shimon. Reuben says to Shimon, give me a suda. In exchange, the suda will be for you to give it to Levi.
So what is Shimon? Shimon is not kind of anything?
No, Shimon is the shliach to be makne to Levi.
Why does he
And we
need
say,
a suda?
Zach
Why
Ladam
does he
Shlei
need a
B'fanav.
suda?
Levi's not a suda, that it should be an exchange, that he's being kind of the karka for Levi. And Zach Ladam Shlei
No, it's
B'fanav.
not a sale, it just says here.
Yeah, schul. Okay? And also, in addition, he says, write to him a star that he should have the deed that I gave him this piece of karka. If he wants, he could retract from the star. He says, I don't want a star. So he says, why is
Who
it
can say I don't want
the moicha? He says the karka, but he cannot retract from the field. The field he was kind of right away because it was a king Yasuda, and we say by king Yasuda, and it's also from Zachan Adam Shlei B'fanav. He was right away. He right away acquired it. But the star, he could stop him. In fact, what does he care? I mean, what is he stopping the star for? Tesis is.
Yeah, why is the Moichas just
Why is he stopping the
You
star?
sold
So
it.
he says because once he
You
gives
gave it
away
over.
property, People will think he doesn't have property. People won't want to lend him money. People will think he's no more what he used to be. So that's why he could omit the shtar. He says, "Atam lisnagdus shaladeis lakach shetiyazu matan mishtar." Why is he misnagid? Why is he against that the writing of the shtar? There could be a person that he gave away the shtar. The one that gives it is concerned. Gave away his karka. A client will go out, a call will go out that he doesn't have any more nechasim. And people will withhold from lending him money. They'll say, he's not the person that he used to be. So he's allowed to back out of the shtar.
How does the Lokeach have proof that that's his field?
There was a king in Suda, there was an Eidim there, and finished. That's it.
So the whole karka was...
But the karka was done, but he doesn't have the deed for it. Okay, this is the shot from Texas.
The real estate has to be with a shtar today.
But people know what he has, and he gave away a lot of it. It's talking about. Okay, that was one case. Second case is he says he's ready to give it to be marked the karka to the other guy, but before you do it, part of this transaction is amanasha tichtvulei ashtar. It's on the condition that you write him up a shtar that he has a deed. Right, that's part of the transaction. So said before it wasn't. It was additional. Here it's part of the transaction. It's if he retracts, he can retract side from the shtar and side from this other, because it's connected. It's one transaction. Rav Huna said there's 3 cases of studies. Today, the first 2 cases that we just said, one was that he told him to write a shtar in addition, separate to the case of giving him the karka through a king in Suda, to be makna the karka through a king in Suda. So there we said he could, the Suda is koina about the shtar, he could retract from. And the second case was, it was all part of one transaction, almanas, it was part of it tonight. So therefore, if he retracts from the shtar, there's no karka to be given to this person. Now, Idach, what's the third case? If the Meicha, before making the king of Besada Vekasav, he wrote for the koina ashtar. This guy's desperate for money. He has to sell his field. He doesn't have, he's going to go out in the market, he's going to look for somebody, but he's going to have a shtar already ready by the sefer that he sold the field. Right? So such a shtar is lecheira.
He has no name on it.
It says he sold it. This is the deed. I'm selling, and he sold the shtar. He sold it already. We'll add the name later.
To activate the shtar by Bestin.
He doesn't even have to activate. He can give the shtar to the person. That's good. So the Mishnah comes to teach us, number 1, that you can write a shtar even though the mechir didn't as of yet happen. So we don't have to be concerned for any Ramos here, because the only one that has to be concerned is the meicha. If it falls into the wrong hands, he'll lose. But if the meicha is not concerned, so we're not concerned. As I say, he brings it over here from the Rashbam. Since the Meich himself is not concerned, says the Rashbam, if he doesn't care, he's not concerned, we don't have to be concerned to write up such a shtar according to his request. So the Gemara, in such a case, like we learned, this is like the Mishnah we learned on Kuf Samach Zayin, that Koisvin shtar l'meicha, you're allowed to write a shtar mechira even before the transaction happened, according to the request of the meicha, even though the lekech is not there. Why? Since the loikeach made a chazak in the karka, nichna hashtar b'chol makom shu. He acquired the shtar wherever it should be. Right now. So you see, it's words. He told him, you can be kind of the shtar also. So here it's milim is just saying milim.
Because we'll be using the karka.
We didn't say that, and even it's so. But the karka, so v'zui sheshaninu. He says, and then now you're saying what the Yom is saying, and this is what we learned. Nechas shem la'an machrayis, which is metaltlin. Niknin im nechas shesh la'an machrayis. Metaltlin is acquired together with karka, b'kesef, shtar, b'chazaka. So we see from the Hirav Rab Chiva, Rab Oven,
What did he do with the star? He said,
you could take the star also. He told him go make a chazak in the karka, and also you can acquire the star. He just said it in words. So Madach says Kash is like this. Madach saying words, there's no even star, helps him to acquire the star. How much more so when he has a star, stating that he's giving over this star and he should be cleaned with all the liens. For sure, it should be a kinyan. He's saying Madach when he said just be clean of the star. Let's say even it's kinyan agav, but so what? Kinyan agav, it was words. He told make a chazak in the karka. Through those words, he's clean of the star. He uses over here the words over here that here we see just by him telling go make a chazak in the karka, and you automatically clean of the star with words. So he says,
what does the star say that I gave it over to you, right?
The star is the regular deed of the karka. I sold it. So, and you didn't have to write that I'm giving you, he didn't have to write another star, he just told them words. Vim kain kosher kain. That's a difference. Vim kain kosher kain, how much more so, how much more so if he's giving you a document stating that star, which is the deed, is being given over to him for short shell.
So the person has two stars then, right?
Yeah. Oh, not in this case. Madach, in the case, by our case, we only said just make a chazak, he was kind of the deed. How much more so when he writes a star that he should be kind of the deed, he should be kind of the deed. And the Gemara Agav shiny. Agav is different. Why? Why is Agav different? Because kinyan Agav is not just a simple kinyan in the karka. Once he makes a kinyan in the karka, it's like he made a kinyan in the star also. And he was kind of the star with the karka. That kinyan that went into the karka was like a kinyan in the star itself. And it's where do we see that? That a kinyan agav is a very cheshiv kinyan. Where do we see that? We know when it comes to coins, the loy nikne b'chalipin. You cannot acquire coins with chalipin. And you give masuda and kind of the coins. It doesn't work that way. V'agav ada nikne. Only if it's agav karka, it's going to be kaina. Where do we see that? That you cannot be kaina just with a kinyan suda, the money. There was a story with Rav Papa. We learned this before. He had 12,000 zuzim that was owed to him by a person in Beit Chazoi. He was makne those 12,000 coins to Rav Shmuel bar Abacha. Agav asif the Beisid. Together he was makne him the threshold of the door, and with that he should be kind of the 12,000 zuzim. Why did he have to be makne him the money? Because the people from Beit Chazoi would never give him the money. Like we said in the Gemara there. Why? Because they'll say, look, we'll give them the money, but if anything happens on the way, who was it? Now Papa will come back to us and say, it's not my fault, I never got the money. So in order that they shouldn't have any achrayas, so he is now the one that owns the money, Shmuel, the one that's coming to pick up the money. So now he's not going to be responsible. They're not going to be responsible.
So they will mark the karka to him?
No, that Papa was makna his karka that he should be the balabas of the 12,000 zuz. Now the money, he told him the money is yours.
How was he marking the karka to where? To whom?
Papa, money was owed to him, 12,000 zuz. Papa owned a piece of land. He says, you know what, I want you to pick up this money, but they won't give it to you because they're not. He's appointed a shliach. But now, they didn't just make him a shliach. He made him now the owner of the money. How? Agav karka. He was makner, Papa was makner to the shliach. That means the threshold to the shliach. And agav, that threshold, you're kind of the 12,000 zuz.
So the people in the city were
so now the people say, he shows them, look, I have a kinyan agav, it's my money, and you don't have to worry if anything happens, it's me. So you're giving it to me, you're giving the balabas.
Why is that? Because they see he's taking the car.
He's the balabas.
And the moicher doesn't object to it. They knew it was Rav Papa's karka.
Sure, Rav Papa.
And then they see somebody's using the karka.
No, Rav Papa said he had a deed on Rav Papa's threshold.
In fact, he's there using the karka.
They didn't see it. He
Nobody's
went to Beit Chazoi. He showed a star that Rav Papa was makna to him this threshold, and Agav he wrote, and together with this threshold, the 12,000 zuz that you is his. Metaltalin, yeah. So you see that the money only helps if it's a gav karka, because if not, he should have just made a suda, and in exchange, obviously suda doesn't help.
Why does the agav
So,
karka?
huh?
Why does the agav karka?
Because agav karka is a much stronger kinyan. That's what the Gemara was strong.
And there's nobody's moiche.
He doesn't say that. He says that kinyan agav is a much more cheshev kinyan than kinyan suda. It overrides a kinyan suda. A kinyan suda will not help to acquire money.
Money things are so complicated.
Yep.
Because the Ramai come in so easily from learn the Gemara. You know exactly what to do.
Okay, good. Sagt die Gemara weiter. We learned the Mishnah. Aber lo yimach lo yisavad lo yisam arzufim lo yisam atiki. If he sold the svina, he didn't sell together with the svina the avodim. He didn't sell the bags in which you hold the merchandise, and he didn't sell the merchandise that are in the bags. He sold them just the ship. Sagt die Gemara, my anatiki. What does it mean anatiki? I mean, papa iska the begaba. It's the schira, the merchandise that was on the ship wasn't sold together with the ship. He only sold in the ship. That's what we learned in the Mishnah. Sagt the Heilige Mishnah machas hakori. If he sold a wagon, loy machas haprodis. He did not sell together the mules with the wagon. And here the Gemara will explain that over here it's talking about that the wagon was not connected to the mule. If they were connected, he sold everything together. If he sold the mules, he didn't automatically sell the wagon. If he sold the yoke, he didn't sell the two oxen that fit into that yoke. If he sold them the pair of oxen, he didn't sell automatically the what do you call it? The yoke. Rabbi Yehuda argues. He says the money. You look at the money that he paid for. If it was a lot of money, Ketzah. He says like this. How do we look at it? If he said, "Sell me your yoke for 200 zuz," there's no such a yoke that costs 200 zuz unless it's made out of diamonds and gold. So it's a known thing that the yoke doesn't go for 200 zuz. So it's for sure that he sold him the oxen with it.
Isn't 200 just a year's salary?
Could be, yeah.
Is that what he's saying?
I don't know. I don't remember. The Chacham say no. The money is not proof for anything. It could be the money, again, that he overcharged him. The mekach would be batal, right? Or he overcharged him, and the guy knew that it didn't make sense. Obviously, he meant to give the rest as a matana. The Gemara will say this. It's very similar to the previous case. Rav Tachlifa from Eretz Yisrael learned this price before Rabbi Avo. He says, "Machas hakorin, machas haprodes." If he sold the wagon, he sold the mules with it. In fact, we just said it's not. We just in the Mishnah learned loy machatnan. We learned in the Mishnah that it's not sold together. Amalei. So Rav Tachlifa said to Rabbi Avo, "Oh, Ismiya, should I just erase this brayso because it doesn't follow the Mishnah?" Amalei, no. Titag masnisich vadukenbay. Touch up that Mishnah, or that brayso. I'm sorry, that brayso touch up where it says they were both sold together. That it was connected, and the Mishnah is talking about that the wagon was not connected. We said if he sold the yoke, he didn't sell the oxen. So how's the case talking about? If you're going to say the karet tzimda, that they call a yoke, ulavaka baka, and oxen, and it's not included in yoke. It says it's pashut. When he told Mechayli tzimda zamanle, baka zamanle. If they call it tzimda just a tzimda and it's not including baka, it's not including the oxen, it's obvious that he sold them just the yoke. The Ella will rather. What do you want to say? The karalei namile baka tzimda, that they call a yoke, baka also when they want to say oxen they say yoke, so it's included in yoke. So it says the Gemara. So kuli zavam, then he sold them everything together. So how do you make a chilik over here?
Because he had baka without a yoke, you can't use it.
He says that when you say tzomid, others say tzomid means dafket tzomid, not without baka. Others say no, tzomid includes baka.
Because you can't use the baka on the summit.
Tzomid, oh yeah. So the Gemara leitzich over here, it's talking about ba'asa the karalei leitzimda tzimda or the baka. It's talking about in a place where they called some yoke and baka. But veikadami the cut a little baka simda. But those that call baka also a yoke. Is Rabbi Yehuda Sava? Rabbi Yehuda says when he says sell me the yoke masayim zuz hadomim maidim, the money from the money that you give. So if he paid a lot of money, it's obvious that he didn't only buy the yoke, he bought it with the animals together. But Rabbanan Sabri and the Rabbanan say, Ein hadomim raya. The Rabbanan say the dom is not a raya because it could be he overpaid and there was a mekach toys, it can back out. Says what if he Ein hadomim raya? If it's not a raya, lahavi bitul mekach, let the mekach be bottled. So the Gemara have bitul mekach Rabbanan laslahu. And if you want to say the Chachamim do not hold that it's batul, rather they say the mecha is kaim, even though the Aina, it was much, he overpaid. In fact, it says v'loi, they don't hold this halach latnan. Rabbi Yehuda Hema, af hamecha sefatei behema magalis ein lahem es elu. Ein la, yeah, amu loi. 1 second, magalis ein lahem Aina. It says one who sells a sefatei behema. There's no din. Only those that are enumerated in the Mishnah, Avodim, Shtadis, or Kakais, Vegdeshes, there's no Oina. But Namala hate, yes. Any other Chafetzim does have a din of Oina. Says, you want my Ein Domin Miraya, Nami Diktani. So what is the Kavanah of the Mishnah? When the Chacham said the Domin is not a Raya that he bought with the behemoths, the Havi, rather it means the Havi Bitul Makach. They meant to say the Domin is not a Raya, and the sale will be batul no batul. By Sema, if you want to say, I can answer you differently. Ki Omer Rabbanan, this that Chacham said that Allah Savainov Bitul Makach is Bichdei Shadas Toya. That's like he sold him something for that's worth 5 for 7 or 6 for 8. In such a case, we say, okay, the buyer made a mistake and therefore the mekach is batul. It was a mekach toyes. But if he charged him much more, something that's worth 5, he sold it for 20. So, that for sure, that's not there. We don't say it was a nah. Amen. In such a case, we're going to say, why did he overpay? Because matana yoevle, he wanted to give him as a matana. He saw this guy doesn't really make a panasa. I know my uncle Elashol used to sell esrogim, and other people, Esser can get like that Esser, $50. People gave him $150. Why? Excuse to give it as a matana. He needed the money. Okay, stop over here.